morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from, and welcome to today's webinar on Change Your Health, Start with Sleep. So this is something I like to tell all of my clients that it doesn't really matter what your goals are, whether it is to lose weight, build muscle, improve heart health, your blood pressure, you're dealing with diabetes or some other medical condition. You should really start with your sleep because it really affects every foundation of our well being. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Megan Wollerton, and I am the owner of Life Force Wellness. And I hold certifications in a variety of different areas. So, one, I am certified as a personal trainer, a health coach, nutrition coach. I'm also a corporate wellness specialist. So I work with individuals one on one, but I also work with organizations to help them with their employee wellness programs. I'm certified in positive psychology, in stress management, sleep, and recovery. So I am a sleep coach. You might not have known that there even was a thing, but I am certified in sleep coaching and recovery. I am a workplace mental health ally through the Society of Human Resource Management. And most recently, I got my advanced certification in change psychology. Now, that sounds like a lot, and you probably think I've been in wellness for almost my entire life, but I actually came from the oil and gas field industry first. So, after working several years in oil and gas, being on call 24/7, putting in 60 to 100-hour work weeks, I burned out and my health was a mess. My relationships were a mess. It just all round was not good. And when I had an opportunity to leave that job, I really went down this rabbit hole with wellness and have just fallen in love with it. And now everything that I've learned, I love to share with others. So that's what this wellness webinar series is all about. These weekly wellness webinars are just me giving back to the community. So we offer these every week, but they alternate between general wellness topics like today, where we're discussing sleep. Next week, it's going to be focused on leadership. So, things leaders can do in their organizations to help decrease stress, promote well being, create more psychologically safe cultures. So, if you are a leader, a manager, a business owner, you might want to also check out some of those webinars that we offer as well. Now, enough with that. Let's dive in. I know we've got a few more people that joined us. Who needs sleep? You do. I do. We all do. And unfortunately, most of us are not getting the sleep that we need. In fact, 1 in 3 adults do not get the recommended sleep of 6 to 9 hours every night. Sleep deprivation costs billions of dollars in lost productivity in the United States alone every year. And poor sleep affects nearly every system of the body, which I had mentioned at the beginning. Sleep is the foundation for our health. Our sleep is what gives us the energy and the focus. It helps us to make better decisions, which helps keep our stress low, which promotes good physical health. When we feel good, we're healthy to be around. It promotes our relationships and also then improves our performance. So, sleep is really the foundation of us being able to perform at our absolute best. So, why do we sleep? What happens? Why is sleep so vital? It really does affect every physiological process in our body in some way. First and foremost, it improves our mood. We've all been there where we didn't get a good night's sleep and then we've been very snippy with somebody, or if you have young children, you know they're tired because they start crying about everything or they get really whiny. I've got a 4 year old, that's typically the case here. It also makes us less impulsive when we get better sleep. You know, when you're tired, think about it. At the end of a long day, you're tired and you're like, I don't care, just order the pizza. You know, your kids come to you and they ask you something, you're like, whatever, just I'm tired, go handle it. And you're not necessarily making probably the best decisions in those moments. And so it tends to make us more impulsive when we are tired. Sleep helps us to learn and to remember. So, if you're building new skills, developing new habits, it's important to get good sleep. It improves our cognition, our concentration, our attention. It keeps our brains healthy. When we sleep, it helps us to lose fat and build valuable lean muscle. In fact, it's when we sleep at night that our muscles get repaired. So if you've been training for anything, whether it's marathon running or weightlifting, that is when your muscles get repaired, is when you are in deep sleep at night. It helps to regulate our blood sugar and our lipids. It helps to regulate a lot of our hormones. So things like cortisol, which tends to elevate when we're under high stress, growth hormone, also leptin and ghrelin, which are our hunger cues. So it helps to regulate our hunger and our appetite. So if you've ever had a night where you didn't sleep well, you may have found yourself going for those really starchy, high carbohydrate foods because you're looking for energy, and that's where you're going to find it. And it also just helps to clean up the body and get rid of waste and toxins. Now, there are different stages of sleep, and I wanted to just go over this briefly because many of you on this call probably have some kind of tracker, whether it's your Apple Watch or some other kind of band or Fitbit, and they all have that sleep score that they give you. And you may not fully understand what that sleep score is, what it's tracking, or how it's tracking it. And I just wanted to give you some better insight so you can use that data more effectively. So there are four primary stages of sleep. There's what's called N1, or your transitional sleep. This is extremely light. So for most young adults, this is that first 1 to 7 minutes. So think about when you first go to bed and you close your eyes, you're still kind of aware of what's going on around you, but you're getting relaxed, you're getting settled in. After about 7 minutes, you go into what's known as light sleep. And we are in light sleep for about 10 to 25 minutes, depending on your age and your rhythm. But about 10 to 25 minutes is where we will spend in light sleep. Then we enter what's known as N3, and this is deep or slow wave sleep. And it's a combination of stages 3 and 4 that you kind of like cycle in and out of. When you go through your cycles of sleep, that N3 sleep tends to get shorter, which is why on your fitness tracker, you might have a long period of it says deep sleep, and then it shortens, and then it's a little shorter the next time you get into it, and a little shorter. That's perfectly healthy and natural, and that's what you want. You're not failing at sleep if you're hitting those deep sleep markers and it gets a little shorter. Then we go into REM sleep. REM sleep gets longer through each cycle. So you're going to go from phase basically N2 into REM sleep, and you're going to cycle through that several times in the night. It takes about 75 minutes to 90 minutes to get through one full cycle, which is why we kind of peg 6 to 9 hours as being the kind of base markers for a good night of sleep. Now, something else to note. If you're really tired and you want to take a cat nap, keep it to about 20-25 minutes, or go big and go for the 90 minutes. A lot of us, we are tired and we lay down and we'll just do a 30-minute nap, or I'll just set a timer for 45 minutes. The problem is, where does 45 minutes or 30 minutes land you? In that N3 deep sleep. So when your alarm goes off at 30 or 45 minutes to wake you up from your nap, you wake up and you feel worse than you did before you laid down to take the nap. We've all been there, right? You laid down to take a nap and you wake up and you're like, man, I feel more tired and more groggy now. That's because you woke yourself up at the beginning of your deep sleep phase. You don't want that. You want to stay in light sleep for that cat nap. So you don't want to go beyond that 25-minute threshold, or else you're going to have a bad time waking up. Now, one of the most interesting facts that I nerded out on is that when you are in deep sleep, your brain actually gets a little bit of a bath at night, which is really interesting. So when we're in deep sleep, our lymphatic system actually clears out waste and byproduct from our brain. It gets totally cleared out of the body. When we are in that deep sleep, short-term memories get converted to long-term memories. So if you're trying to learn a new skill, you're in school, you're studying for a certification, you're learning a new job, you want to make sure you're getting good quality sleep so those short little things that you are learning throughout the day get put into long-term memory storage. I love the analogy of the brain being like a filing cabinet room. It only has so much capacity to store stuff. And so sometimes it needs to clear out some of the old information. It needs to clear out things that are no longer useful to make room for new information. And that's what happens when we are in deep sleep. So even if you were with me for my Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, we talked about this a little bit about changing those thought patterns, maybe negative thought patterns or beliefs you were holding on to, and switching those out for positive. If you are going through that process of retraining your brain into some new thought pattern or develop a new skill, sleep is going to be vital to make sure that you succeed in achieving that goal. Now, sleep is different for everyone, and there are certain factors we absolutely just have to understand that we have no control over. We cannot control our age, and that's going to determine kind of how we sleep. If you look at age, you see that it tends to be that in our teen years, in our early 20s, most of us tend to be night owls at that time. And then we start to kind of change as we get older. And then as we age into those 80s and 90s, it can really vary. But we all follow a very similar pattern, basically from birth into about our 60s. And then it starts to kind of change for everybody. We're all a little bit different with what our chronotype is. Our genetics play a factor, our environment plays a factor. And so that's why some of you on this call, you're what's considered a morning lark, right? That sun rises and you're up and you hit the ground and you're running and you're ready to start today. And some of you are like, nope, I'm more of a night owl. I'd rather be up till 2 o'clock in the morning and sleep in. And it takes me at least 4 cups of coffee to get grinding. That's fine. You need to understand that what works for some people may not work for you. And what I really get frustrated by is a lot of people try to sell a one size fits all solution to your sleep problems. So you've probably been sold on the supplements like melatonin, or you've been told to jump on the magnesium bandwagon, or you're trying a special device to relax your vagus nerve. Not saying that none of those things aren't helpful, but they may not be helpful to you based on what your chronotype is, your age, your gender, and some of these other factors. So we want to make sure that we truly understand our patterns so that we can really help ourselves get a better night's sleep. So this is one of the charts that I got in my coaching certification that just again shows how poor sleep affects us. It affects our emotional responses, our mental cognition, and our physical responses. It really impacts really every part of our life. And so we need to really put it into a new perspective. What is poor sleep really costing you? Because when you don't sleep well, we have brain fog, we have more stress, we tend to make poorer food choices, we have less patience with those around us, we tend to make more mistakes, we reduce our performance, and all around just poor health. And so when you are making decisions around your sleep and you're opting to do something other than sleep, you need to really think about, what is this costing me? Is it worth the price to stay up and do this thing or not? Do I want to prioritize my sleep? And I'm hoping that since you're here with me on today's webinar, you are wanting to prioritize your sleep. And so let's talk about the biggest sleep saboteurs. First is screens, whether it's a television screen, a computer screen, your smartphone screen, whether you're doom scrolling on TikTok or telling Netflix, yes, I'm watching another, or you're just responding to one more email. Screens are the number one biggest offender for why we don't get good quality sleep. Next is late caffeine. If you're having that 4 or 5 p.m. cup of coffee, that's probably what's keeping you up still at 9, 10 o'clock at night. Late meals. When we eat late, we're boosting our metabolism and then we're not getting that good quality sleep. If you work late, sometimes we can't control the demands of the job. Sometimes we have to put in a late night, been there, but that can be a big saboteur. Stress and just tossing and turning over the anxiety of other things going on in our life. A hot bedroom. Women who are like my age and maybe a little older, you understand. My husband and I are having fights over the thermostat. I'm getting those hot flashes now. I want it cold, cold, cold. And the rest of my family is not thrilled with it. So a hot bedroom is what's keeping me from a good night's sleep right now. I am always excited when I get to travel and go to a hotel room by myself because I can crank that thing down and sleep well. The other thing is an inconsistent schedule. So it's summertime, the kids are off school. And one of the things we've already started implementing in my house is getting back into a bedtime routine. We're 5 minutes every night. We're trying to push them into the bath a little bit sooner, into bed a little bit sooner. So I'm hoping that in like 20 days, when they're going back to school, they're back into that good sleep routine because they totally went off the rails with the summer. So, simple things you can do to improve your quality sleep is set the right environment for sleep. Your bedroom should be clear of all the clutter. It should be a warm, welcoming environment. You can set up plants in the bedroom and they'll put more oxygen in the air. Spider plants are great for that. They also look really nice. You don't want piles of laundry everywhere that's going to stress you out. You want the bedroom to be clean, clear of clutter. You want it to be a relaxing oasis in your home. That should be like the one room that you can retreat to when you're stressed. You want it to be cool. So, science, not just Megan, but science has said that 65 degrees is the optimal temperature for sleep. Now, that's even a little cold for me, but cooler is better for sleep. Our body temperature tends to rise when we sleep, which is why at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're kicking off every cover on your bed. You want it to be dark. So, especially in the summertime when we try to get to bed early and the sun's still up, or we're trying to sleep in and that sun is still up. I love a sunny day, but not when I'm trying to sleep. Invest in those darkening curtains. You want it to be comfortable. If you get nothing out of this webinar except for this piece, I'll take it. Get a new mattress. Most of you are probably sleeping on a mattress that is like 10 years past due. It's lumpy. You have flipped it every which way and it's still not comfortable. We spend a good portion of our lives laying and sleeping in that bed, and sleep is so vital to your health. Rather than investing in some kind of contraption that's going to relax your vagus nerve or invest in expensive supplements that are going to help you sleep better, just get a comfortable mattress. Get good soft sheets that you're actually going to want to like curl up in. The other thing, and this is the piece most people push back on, no electronics in the bedroom. I know. I like to sleep with the TV on. I like to have my phone there. I use it as an alarm clock. I've heard all the excuses. When we talk about those stages of sleep, understand that those measurements are made based on electrical impulses from your brain. So when scientists are measuring whether you're in stage 2 sleep or stage 3 sleep, they are using electronical brain wave patterns. You may have heard of delta waves, alpha waves. You might even have like apps that help put those brain waves in to help relax you. So same thing. Your electronic devices, even if they're not on, they're plugged into the wall, they are emitting some kind of electrical frequency that you can't hear, but it's there. And if you have too many devices plugged into your bedroom, you are going to interrupt the brain's electronic brain waves that is putting you into a deep sleep. So if you are on this webinar and you are somebody who's like, I sleep 8 to 10 hours every night, but I never feel rested, are you sleeping with your cell phone next to your head? How many devices are plugged in? Your iPad, your iPhone, your Kindle, your lamp, how many things are plugged in right next to your head when you're trying to sleep? Those could be disrupting your sleep cycle patterns. So clear out as many electronics as you can from the bedroom. Put the cell phone on the other side of the room. Yes, you'll have to walk to turn off the alarm, but that will also keep you from hitting the snooze button. You want to keep a consistent sleep schedule. So this is huge. Our bodies have a natural circadian rhythm, and that is actually activated by light and darkness. So when our eyes take in light, it tells the brain it is time to be awake, and it activates certain systems in the brain and in the body to awaken, to start moving, to start functioning. Same thing, when it starts to get dark, that is what activates your brain to start producing melatonin naturally. So if you're someone who's taking melatonin as a supplement, understand that your body produces this naturally. And one of the ways to activate it is to make sure you are in a dark environment. Staring at your blue light on your screen is telling your eyes it's still light out. We're supposed to be awake. And so the melatonin's not being produced when you need it. You also want to dim any of the lights. So as the evening starts to come, start pulling the shades, start turning off the lights. Not every lamp needs to be on, and that's going to help to activate your natural circadian rhythm. If you keep a consistent go to sleep and wake up time, your body will fall into that too. You won't need to tell yourself it's bedtime, your body will let you know. But a lot of us, we might have a good sleep schedule, say Sunday night to Thursday night, but then come the weekend, we try to stay up late to watch movies or go out with friends, and then we sleep in, or, something's going on with the kids. And it really throws a monkey wrench. As much as you can, try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day and keep it as consistent as possible. And that's going to keep your body into a rhythm so it can follow those good sleep patterns. You also want to develop a relaxing sleep ritual. So there's a lot of products out there that talk about activating relaxation. And this is just stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. So that vagus nerve. You may have heard that in some people's advertising. They like to throw out scientific terms to really sell you on these devices. But really, activating that is just anything that induces that feeling of safety and calm. We all know that feeling when you take that breath, just that and all that tension just flushes from the body, right? It's that sigh of relief. It's just that, like, we feel like we could just turn into a puddle. We are just calm. That's what we want. And it can be activated through meditation, through mindfulness. It's not necessary, but there's a lot of different things that you can do. You could try deep breathing exercises. You could try aromatherapy, get the essential oils and the oil diffusers. I have one in my office and one in my bedroom. You could try doing a self massage. You could do a body scan where you go from your head to your toes and take note of where that tension is in your body and focus on releasing that tension. You could do light stretching. You could do a warm shower, meditation, prayer, just whatever works for you that really just makes you feel relaxed and calm. And you should be doing that before you get into bed. One of the things I love to teach, and it's in a couple of my webinars, I learned this from Brendan Burchard. He's a high performance coach, is the 3-2-1 sleep. 3 hours before bed, stop eating. When you eat and then you go and you lay down, that food in your stomach might start to come back up your esophagus. And that's what's giving you the heartburn, the indigestion. So you're laying down and 2 hours later, you're looking for the Tums to like combat that. You want to make sure your stomach is empty so it doesn't do that. The other thing is when you eat, you actually activate your metabolism. Your stomach has to churn up all that food and break it down to pass it through the rest of the digestive tract. So your body is actually using energy, it's actually heating up whenever you're eating, and that's going to keep you awake. So if you want to be able to fall asleep easily and stay asleep, you want to make sure you're not eating anything 3 hours before bed. 2 hours before bed, stop working. You can still look at the screens, but have it be for fun. This is where you can do your TikTok or Instagram reels. This is where you can watch Netflix. You want to make sure you do something that's going to give you a hit of dopamine, something you enjoy, because that doom scrolling has another name. It's called revenge bedtime procrastination. That is your brain saying, you didn't give me enough dopamine today, and I'm not going to bed until I get my fix, which is why you'll sit there and be like, oh my gosh, I have to be up so early in the morning, but I just can't seem to stop myself from watching the next video or saying, yes, Netflix, I'm still here. Your brain is looking for that dopamine. So 2 hours before bed, make sure your brain has the dopamine it needs so that you can start to wind down. 1 hour before bed, all screens shut off. We want to start dimming the lights. We want to start producing melatonin naturally. So we don't want that blue light to interrupt that circadian cycle. This is where you can input that relaxation technique. Maybe it's taking that warm bath. Maybe it's doing meditation. It could also be things to put your mind at ease, like packing up your lunches for the next day, laying out your clothes for the morning, getting yourself set so that when you go to bed, you know, okay, I'm all set and ready to go in the morning. Kind of cross off some more things on that to-do list. Does not require a screen. So 1 hour before bed, just stay away from the screens and start winding down. Lastly, when it comes to your sleep, like I said, it's different for everyone and there's no one size fits all. But what we can do is focus on what we can control. So when I'm working with clients on sleep coaching, I get a lot of women. I'm, premenopausal or menopausal, and I'm waking up with hot flashes. I'm sorry, babe, there's not a lot I can do about that. I mean, You can talk to your doctor about, certain medications to help you with some of your symptoms, but like that's just part of the women anatomy and getting older. You might have some other things in your anatomy, your physiology. You might have some genetics working against you or some other illness that causes you discomfort. It might be your chronotype. You just happen to be a night owl and, you have a hard time going to bed early. The demands of your job, other people, when people are loud outside, still setting off fireworks in the middle of August on a Tuesday night. I can't control those things. But what I have some control over, I can start to cue my circadian rhythm by making it dark. I can create a restful sleep environment. I can talk to people in my household and tell them, like, hey, here's the game plan for bed for me. Can you guys be quiet? This is when I'm waking up. You can also have total control over things like prioritizing your sleep, picking some of the things we talked about today and going, I'm going to make this a priority. I'm going to make sure that sleep is a priority and not emails. I'm going to make sure sleep is a priority and not scrolling TikTok. You can create a pre sleep ritual that's going to help you go to sleep. One of the best things I learned with my kids, they have the same routine. They've had the same routine basically since the day they were born, even down to like the same lullaby tape. It's the one I grew up on, and they have the same. And my son is 8 years old. We were on vacation. He's like, man, as soon as that song comes on, I'm out because it's wired into his brain. When this song comes on, it means it's time for sleep. So, having a good habit, a ritual, something that's going to cue your brain, it's time to go to sleep, is going to be helpful. And just practicing a growth mindset. We've talked a lot in other webinars about our speech and how it impacts our well being. If you're somebody who's like, I'm just not a good sleeper, I don't sleep well, I can't go to bed early, if you're saying those things, you're bringing them into existence. So try having a growth mindset, try something new and really give it a shot. Don't just, phone it in or talk down on it until you give it a try. So, my challenge for you is don't overhaul everything. Please don't try to put everything we just talked about into practice right now. Like, I'm going to cut out the caffeine and I'm going to get up early and I'm going to start 3, 2, 1 and I'm going to take a hot bath. Like, don't over engineer it. Start with one, maybe two things that you want to implement. So maybe you want to start going to bed at the same time every night. Maybe you want to start a ritual as soon as you get up in the morning, you get that sunlight. Maybe you're going to talk to your family about turning down the thermostat just at night. Most of them have a timer that you can turn it down at night and then it comes back up warmer during the day. Maybe you're going to start putting your cell phone outside the bedroom and letting it charge outside the bedroom. Maybe you're going to stop the caffeine earlier or the 3, 2, 1 rule. I want you to pick one of these things that you want to implement. And if you're somebody who is fine with sharing, put it in the chat. What's the one habit you're going to challenge yourself to make the change? And you can start as early as tonight. What is it that you're going to start implementing? What I really want you to take away is that even though whenever we talk about laziness, a lot of times you get like pictures of people sleeping, sleeping itself isn't lazy, it's recovery. It's recovery that improves our energy. Our energy improves our focus. When we're able to focus, we're able to perform better, and better performance means better overall well being. If you want to go deeper in any of this, if you're like, Megan, yes, more, I need help, I can't get my sleep right, I'm really struggling, I'm happy to coach you through that. I'm happy to have an extra conversation. You can book a call with me by scanning the QR code on your screen. We can discuss coaching. We can discuss, maybe some other things that weren't in today's webinar that might be helpful for you. I'm happy to share some more information. If this is something you think would be helpful for your teams, I've worked with manufacturing, construction organizations on sleep because fatigue on a job site, extremely dangerous. You don't want a heavy equipment operator falling asleep behind the wheel. That would be extremely dangerous. As I said, I offer free weekly webinars. Next week is our leadership topic, but our next wellness webinar is going to be August 20th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to go a little bit deeper into this topic. So why am I so tired? It's the hidden habits draining your energy. So start with sleep. If you've got a good sleep foundation, but you're like, I am still so tired, I'm just fatigued, There might be some things you're doing throughout the day that's causing that. It might be something as simple as fixing your hydration. It might be the decisions you're making. It might be something in your nutrition. We're going to talk about some of those things that sap your energy. And we're also going to talk about things that are going to give you a boost. So rather than reaching for the Monster Energy drink or the fifth cup of coffee, we're going to talk about things you can do to also boost your energy throughout the day that is a little healthier and a little more natural. At this time, I'm happy to open it up for any questions. If you have not yet connected with me on LinkedIn, please scan the QR code, connect with me. I'm on that social media more than any other. So I post all upcoming webinars and events and free products on LinkedIn. If you are not comfortable asking a question here, you can certainly unmute or enter it in the chat. But if you're not comfortable doing that, you can send me an email. There is no other questions. I will let you guys get back to your day. We are at time. Thank you again so much. Have a great rest of your day.